What's up, everybody? My name is Damien, and this is Houdini, my Columbian Red Tail Boa constrictor. Just pretty much wanted to, show them off today, give you some tips on these guys, and some care info. I've raised a lot of iguanas in my life. Two of them got extremely large. Pretty docile animals, not too bad, but I would definitely say that these snakes are far more affectionate. They put up with a lot more of your crap than an iguana would. This guy is a true Columbian red tail. I don't know if you can tell the deep red on the bottom of his tail, but it's kind of hard. A lot of pet stores will sell them as Columbian red tails, but real Columbian red tails come from the east side of the Andes Mountains, places like Suriname and Guyana down in South America, and they get much larger than the I wouldn't say fake boas, but I mean, yeah, to use the term loosely. And then the ones that probably 85% of everybody else seems to get is the red tail boas that aren't true red tails. Pretty much in terms of size, this guy could max out probably somewhere around 9 or 10 feet. If I fed him right and gave him proper care, could live pushing 30 years. Also depends on type of care that you give your snake. Also feeding, that plays a big role in how large your snake gets and also how healthy he is. Basically, when you start out like with this guy, he's just a baby. You're going to want to give him pinkies and fuzzies and little types of guys that aren't going to be too hard for him to get down. But I would suggest getting frozen type of prey that you can thaw yourself. A lot of times with where's he going? A lot of times with live bait, you run the risk of actually injuring your snake, basically just because they strike out and they grab the back end of the rodent, but the teeth are still kind of whipping around there, and all of a sudden he gets bit, and then a week later you got an infection, and you just lost a pretty cool potential companion. But yeah, so I would definitely suggest frozen baits. Even when they get larger, you can still buy them. They're a bit more expensive the larger prey that you're buying frozen. So I know it sounds kind of rough and all, but if you wanted to buy live rats and so on and so forth, and then kind of thump them out yourself, it'll end up saving you money in the long run and protecting your snake. So you're going to get the best of both worlds with that. I've kind of grown a little bit callous to doing that to animals. I love animals, but it is a natural part of nature. Not really natural that we're putting these two in the situation, but if you buy a reptile or any animal for that matter, you need to do your research and know what you're in for, and you got to take every necessary precaution to make sure that you're giving it the best lifestyle. So now basically I wanted to talk mainly on handling your animal. Obviously no quick movements with snakes. It's not even so much that they would strike at you just because they're hungry or something. It's mainly a defense mechanism. If you've ever seen a snake S up, where they kind of kink their neck twice, that's usually a defensive position. They're not really happy, or they're very nervous. A lot of times you might see them do it too if you are properly holding them. Snakes don't like to be off balance, and you'll feel them tense up around you quite a bit if you're not holding them right. Basically I touch him every day. I take him out and I handle him all the time. Really, I would only recommend that you would have to hold him maybe 3, maybe 4 times out of the week if you're not so down with touching them all day long, and that would be sufficient, I would think, to get them used to you. The point of what you're trying to do is you're trying to let them know that you kind of are dominant over them and you will touch them whenever you feel like it. You know, there are going to be points where your snake is going to tell you to back off and you need to give them their space, but for the most part, the key is putting your scent all over them. I rub them and I touch them whenever I'm playing with them, and I make sure that he smells me. And you know, now it's to the point where he's such a baby, he won't even let me go. You know, I try to set him down and he looks as though he wants to go that direction, but he'll always keep these last set of coils wrapped around my hand no matter what. Also touching everything in his cage. You know, you definitely want to put your hands on any of the substrate or, you know, flooring and bedding that you put in the bottom of the cage. You know, run that through your fingers. Touch the sticks, logs, pool area, hiding places. You know, just get them used to you. So get you a little up close here so you can kind of see his markings. And a very, very good looking snake, very well tempered. His markings and colors are awesome. I love them very much. Now what I'm going to do is just pretty much show you his tank here. So sorry for the jolt on the camera, but okay, now I'm going to put him back in so you can kind of, okay buddy, go on. See, that's what I'm talking about. He's such a big baby, he doesn't want to let me go. And he's creeping in now. This is his favorite hiding spot too. He loves to go up into this little tree. It's one of his favorite places to go. And I'm just going to shut up the cage here. I ended up buying a double clasping cage. I would recommend them. Claps right here and back here, locks it down. One in the front, you can even put a little lock here if you want to. Real quick, we're going to talk about lighting. This black guy right here is just basically a heat dome light. It has a red light. I'm sure you can all see that on the video. It's about 150 watts. That's what I would prefer in the tank, because if you look back there, there is a thermometer gauge, and on his hot side, which is over here, is roughly about 95 to 100 degrees. He can get out of it though if he wants to, which is good. And then this would be his cool side where his pool is and everything. I'll basically give you a tour of the tank real quick. Lots of foliage, lots of leaves, places for him to hide, stuff like that. That rock tank is a lot bigger than it looks. Actually, the whole enclosure is a lot bigger than it looks. Right up there is some saran wrap. I did that just to keep the humidity down, especially right over the pool, kind of like a natural rain cycle, I guess. Just, you know, basic sticks. You want to make sure you don't get them from outside. They could have a lot of mites and parasites on them, so I would boil them if you don't want to pay for them at a store. Get your snake a hiding place. That is very key. I have two of them, one there, one there. You know, a lot of times they like to hang out and hide and stuff. That's usually where he likes to be. Again, the bottom of this tank is coated in coconut fiber substrate. Don't ever use things like cedar and aspen and so on and so forth. It could be hazardous to your snake. Now back to the lighting. This, I just picked up a, you know, local hardware store, just a regular dome, and I put in a 13 watt curly bulb light. You're basically just lighting the tank with this, save you some energy and stuff. But now in terms of UV lighting, I know iguanas need them, but snakes actually do not. And you know, you don't necessarily have to have that. If your snake does feel at all, you know, weird to you at all, you could always throw one in there. Also keep a mister around, little squirt bottle, that way you can give him some added humidity. Basically, just to finish up the video, you know, I'm just doing these YouTube videos, you know, for the first time, so I'll definitely be posting some updates and stuff on Houdini as he starts to grow, and man, is he going to grow. So stay tuned, and you know, I'll give you some feeding videos and so on and so forth, and post some other stuff about my Malamutes and you know, some base lessons as well. So later.